Well, good afternoon, those of you in the gallery and those of you joining us from home. Welcome to the regular council meeting for Wednesday, March 4th, 2020. Just before we get going, just a couple items. One, with the council's indulgence, I'd like to move item 3, the closed session. I think more accurately we're going to deal with that following the bylaws section of the agenda, just before we do the confirming bylaw. Everybody comfortable with that?
Aye.
Yes.
Thank you. And second item, I'd like to just take this moment to acknowledge the passing of Robert Gordon. As a founding member of the Township's Fire Department, he served this organization, this community, for 45 years as a member of the Fire Department, retired as the fire chief. He also served on Township Council and probably served for better part of a decade and a half as chair of our Planning Advisory Committee. And he brought a level of decorum and fairness and firmness to the chair position that I think this organization still benefits from today. It was a great example on how to chair meetings, and I wish all the best to his family as they deal with his passing. So,
Mr. Chair?
yes?
I was wondering, can I ask the CEO with respect to policies on remembering people like this individual provided a great service to the community? Is there a policy that, such as planting a tree or something of that nature, we can look into?
I'm not sure there's a formal policy. I could look into that, but I know that the mayor, before he left, did ask if we could make a donation on behalf of the municipality in accordance with what it said in the obituary notice. So that has been done, and I understand that the fire department is making a donation as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, Councillor Spoulos, for thinking of that, and thank you, CAO, for taking care of that. Okay, next item is disclosure of pecuniary interests. I believe we have something from Councillor Goyda today.
Yes, thank you. I am declaring a pecuniary interest on several items. Item number 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 9.2A, and 3B. Those being the notification from the MNRF regarding aggregate resources, the AMCTO summary of aggregate resources, and council endorsement from the municipality of Central Elgin regarding Bill 132. And the nature of the pecuniary interest for those 3 items is due to a family member operating an aggregate in the township. I have also a pecuniary interest in application for cancellation, reduction, refund of taxes. The last 2 items, which are application 1118 and 1218, and that is due to a property owner being a relative. And the last item is under closed item 3B, confidential report, section 12, amend and remove site-specific provisions, and that again is due to a property owner being a relative.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Goyda. I think we've made note of those things, and we'll do our best to
Okay.
make sure we act appropriately and excuse you from those conversations.
Thank you.
Okay, we have several minutes to adopt from previous meetings. January 16th, special council meeting. The February 19th council meeting. Do I have a motion to accept those? Thank you.
Moved by Councillor Bailey and seconded by Councillor Sapoulis that the minutes of the following meetings be adopted as written and distributed. A, January 16th, 2020 special council meeting, and B, February 19th, 2020 regular council meeting.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That's passed. That's carried. Okay, now we have 2 public meetings coming up. Thursday, March 26th, here at the Municipal Complex. One is scheduled for 7 o'clock. Part Lot 30, Concession 7. Zoning bylaw relating to, I don't know, let me get the number here. D14 Gal, or Joseph Gallo, and as I said is Lot 30, Concession 7. And then at 7:30 we have a housekeeping amendment to the comprehensive zoning bylaw update that was recently approved by the LPT, LPAT. So that's coming up. communications. So we have items 1, 2, and 3, which all relate to updates to the Aggregate Resources Act, and which Councillor Goyda has declared a pecuniary interest. So with Council's indulgence, perhaps we can deal with all these 3 things together, and I'll just ask if there's any comments from Council on each of these, and then maybe from those comments we can decide if there's any action we want to take. So Councillor, I believe you're on first this week?
Yes, I am.
Councillor Spoulis then?
Yes, my comments relate to item number 1. There's an extensive document that the ministry put out. It's, I think, in the order of 70-odd pages. And I provided my comments to staff. I'll recommend action when we go around the second time, as you suggest. But some of the comments in there relate to something that we are not experts in, such as source water protection, such as mining below the water table. So my suggestion would be, if everybody agrees, is to have our geotechnical consultant or hydrogeologist provide comments with respect to those. There are also other ones in there that raise eyebrows. For instance, they talk about you don't need to mitigate noise at source with appropriate attenuating devices if the receptor is located more than 500 meters away. And to me, noise is noise, and how do you ensure that that noise is not going to go to somebody that's, say, 600 meters away? There's notification consultation time periods. They're saying the applicant can have an extension of beyond 2 years to resolve objections. Can have extensions beyond 2 years. And my comment is that should not be indefinite. There should be a time horizon when you resolve your objections.
Right.
And then there's they're going to have a detailed objection process, and they're going to allow people to respond within 20 days. Well, I wonder if that's enough to respond, because supposing your response requires a study, like 20 days isn't going to be enough. There's some other things. They're saying recycling can be permitted, but an accessory activity, so they're permitting up to 100% of what the tonnage of that site. That to me is not accessory activity.
That's true.
Then they say the rehab before it will be done, and my point on that is two. First of all, I think the use should be to its previous use unless the municipality agrees with a change to it. And second of all, the rehab must be signed off by appropriate specialists. There's no use somebody saying, I created an agricultural field, and it's a land survey saying it's an agricultural field, as opposed to somebody who specializes in knowing what crops can grow there. Site amendment process, they're saying the proposed amendments may be a requirement to circuit the municipalities. I'm saying that should be a requirement. And then they need to define what is a significant change. They're saying there's minor changes and significant changes. Well, tell us what are the significant changes that should go to municipality. Mm-hmm. And if they produce, if they suggest a plan without consultation, amendment to the plan, we need a process to object to it if we think it's not something we agree with. So those are my general comments, and I think they should be somehow transmitted to the as part of the EBR submission.
Yes, okay, that's super. And Councillor Bailey, do you have any comments or concerns regarding what we see here from these items 1, 2, or 3 regarding the Aggregate Resources Act update?
Yeah, maybe not as detailed, but I just had sort of a general question about how or whether we're reaching out to other community groups or members to provide feedback as well. I know we have one member that provided some really great comments already, but I just know there's some other groups in the, like specifically, I was wondering if TAPMO, I assume they're going to have a letter that we can sort of endorse or read over and agree to, and other groups in the community. So just wondered how we were reaching out to them, or if we are.
Yeah, that's a good point. I expect our comments will be forwarded to TAPMO to maybe influence their comments as well, mm-hmm. through the mayor,
yep.
Who's a member of TAPMO. And other groups, they can comment directly as well. And it is nice that Mr. McNee has forwarded his comments to us and to help inform our comments. And I expect those will be included in staff's consideration of their report, as would any other correspondence that we receive from residents. Does that make sense, Mr. CAO?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
I guess if I were going to have any comments in addition to the Councillor Sapoulis, is there's one issue that wasn't mentioned here, which has come up in the past here in the township, and probably one of the most frustrating ones for those of us at the municipal level, is that there is no connection currently between the zoning process, the land use review and approval process, and the license/site plans. So in other words, the site plans that are shown to a municipality during the planning process need not be the ones that are shown to the Ministry of Natural Resources to get the final license. And in those circumstances, it's not uncommon for municipalities to put weight or take comfort in site plan conditions or operational notes in terms of granting their planning approval that never end up on the final approved site plans. So in other words, municipalities often take comfort in things that don't end up on the site. And we've seen examples of this over the years. It even happens with pits approved by the Ontario Municipal Board. The University of Guelph Mill Creek pit is a perfect example where the way the site was developed had bared very little recognition to what was approved by the board, or even the Rosal pit with the temperature thresholds that were established through a board hearing, and they're still up for debate. When they were crossed, no action was taken. So one of the things that this municipality had proposed in the past regarding an application here years ago was having something on the site plans known as municipally significant conditions, identified as things that are in that part of the site plans go above and beyond what's required in the provincial standards, and recognize what the things that the municipality or the Ontario Municipal Board, LPAT, put stock in their decision, and that require municipal approval to change. They're not that the municipality is looking to regulate the site, just that these are the things that were specific to a location, such as temperature thresholds in the Rosal pit, that if the ministry wants to change them, they'd have to get permission from the municipality. That would put some connection between the planning process and the actual license that was approved. We had actually put this forward to an applicant years ago with the Teakle pit, and they were all for it, but the ministry said they didn't have the legislation to support it. The provincial standards did not allow that on the site plans. A recent meeting that we had with our previous interim CAO and the mayor with the OSSGA, Ontario Sandstone and Gravel Association, we mentioned this to them as well, and they were supportive of it as well, that this was something they didn't have an issue with. If this was something that the municipality felt was important to help get an application through to protect the natural environment, or to your point, noise, a specific noise mitigation measure that was significant to the planning process, they had no issue having that identified on the site plans separately. And so I would like to propose that that's one of the things I'd like to see that this municipality put forward in a suggestion to close that open gap right now. So there is some relationship to what they present here and what happens on the ground. So based on all these comments that we've heard, I'm going to go around again and see if there's any suggestions on how maybe proceed to get our comments in. Councillor Sapoulis, do you have any?
Yes. I was going to suggest we move that we ask staff to put together a response to the EBR, taking into consideration comments from the county, council members, our consultants, and residents, like Mr. McNee's thing. And my understanding is that we have this public meeting on the 26th. Perhaps we can have a special council meeting after that to go over these comments. So the deadline isn't until March the 30th, so there's a little bit of leeway. And I'd like to give the leeway to the CEO to ferret out what comments he thinks make sense and which ones doesn't, rather than taking it literally and throwing it all
Yes.
together.
Okay.
Take a learned response. Perhaps what the county puts together will be more than enough. I don't know, but I doubt they'll pick up on some of the nitty-gritty I mentioned, or the more high-level item that you mentioned, municipally significant conditions, so.
Okay, well, let's check with Councillor Bailey. Are you comfortable with that?
Yes, I am. I would be in agreement with that for sure. Yeah.
Could I ask Mr. CAO, if we were to do this and you're looking for comments from members of council, with a deadline of having it on our, in our hands probably prior to the 27th, when would you like to have those comments in your hands to prepare such a report?
27th, what day of the week is that? That's a Thursday? So the agenda for that would be going
Plus
out
26.
26th.
26th.
When would the agenda for that item be going out? Or are we sending material out for that, Courtney, do you know?
For the 26th?
Yeah.
We would be,
Or is it just for an information purpose?
it's just, right now, it's just a public information meeting, but if it was to turn to be a meeting, then we would like to have the item sent out probably the Friday before, so the 20th.
20th, okay. What if members of council would get me what their comments are by the 18th?
18th, or how about Monday next? Would Monday be it? I expect most of us have them in our heads already.
Sure.
Okay,
If you-
18th at the latest,
18th the latest, yep.
but as early as possible.
Sure.
Okay, super. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Communications item number 4. Oh, the Puslinch Volunteer of the Year Award announcement. Any comments, Councillor Spoulos?
No, I'm fine. It's a good idea to recognize our volunteers.
Yeah, and it comes around every year. Councillor Bailey?
Yeah, I look forward to seeing who gets nominated.
And Councillor Goida?
Yeah, I thought I might just use this opportunity, it seems fitting, just to make council aware that the rec committee is currently trying to put something together to present to council in a report, hopefully at our next council meeting, of a sort of a display to recognize the past and also be used for future Volunteer of the Years to showcase those residents to the rest of our community, possibly in the community center. We are just working through between the committee and staff. We're working through those details, but hope to have a report that for council's consideration at our next council meeting. So that's just a bit of an update on that. And hopefully, as council members, we can encourage members of our community to nominate other fellow members of our community for that award, because it would be nice to ensure that those that deserve to be recognized are. So that's really all. That's that.
Thank you, and pass my thanks along to the rec committee for that initiative, because it's important that the people who contribute so much to the betterment of our community, other people beyond those of us sitting in this chamber, get a chance to know who they are and what they've contributed. So, thank you. Okay, we have item number 5 is the audit planning report from BDO. This is sort of a normal course of business. Any questions from council for staff on
No.
that? No, okay.
Nope.
Okay, number 6. A thank you letter from the Honorable Steve Clark, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, regarding our delegation to the Minister's Assistant at the Roma Conference. Any comments or questions? Nothing?
Nope.
Sorry,
Ding,
Chair,
ding.
Mr. Chair. I just wanted to ask if this thank you letter that came back does include sort of some recommended courses of action, but I noticed that the county was not included, and so I'm just wondering if we can ensure that the county is circled back on this correspondence.
Okay, thank you. Maybe I can ask the CAO, maybe that you can address that and speak to has there been any follow-up as well as a result of this meeting met with any of the staff from the ministry?
Not as of this point yet, no. But it is planned for the. I did just get a message through the mayor that they're working on getting one scheduled, so we will follow up and meet with them again at that point. But I agree that would be a good idea to send to the county.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have number 7 is notice of compliance with the Emergency Management and Civil Protections Act. That's nice to know staff are doing their good work and keeping us in compliance. Any questions or comments on that?
Nope.
Okay, this next, again, we have another group here of items dealing with the community benefit charge and the update to the PPS. If it's all right, is council comfortable dealing with this as a group? And we'll go around once on comments and again if on any actions, or is that okay with you, Councillor Sepoulis?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so do you have any comments on any of these correspondence regarding the community benefit charge or the update to the PPS?
I guess my only concern is the 10%. Does that mean is it less than the 13,500 we get, or the same? And really don't have a feel for that.
Right. Would the CAO like to comment on?
Mary Ken, maybe?
So just based,
Oh, super, sorry.
Sorry.
Director of Finance.
yes. So based on staff's preliminary review of the regulation, it indicates that the maximum amount to be charged would be up to 10% for a lower tier municipality, as Councillor Sepoulis indicates. However, at this time, it is not understood what the impact would be to the township's rate, as the way that a community benefits charge strategy would be developed is similar to the manner in which a development charges background study is developed. And it seems, based on what the proposed regulation currently indicates, that we would need to undertake a similar process as we've undertook in the past for the development charges study. However, I did just want to indicate that the proposed wording in the regulation provides municipalities the option to either develop a community benefits charge strategy or utilize the basic parkland dedication rate of 5% or 2% as per the Planning Act right now. So that's actually a good sign. But I am working with MFOA, AMO, and Watson and Associates. I've asked them some specific questions as it relates to our current parkland dedication and cash in lieu of parkland bylaw and our current processes, just to see what their thoughts are as to how this regulation could impact our current processes.
Councillor Sepoulis?
Okay, I guess there's March the 30th, I think, the deadline for submission on this as well. And my understanding is Watson Associates is providing a response, I guess, on the behalf of the municipalities.
Yeah, so Watson and Associates and AMO and MFOA, I believe, are going to be working together on providing a response. We have asked them when they would be providing the response by in order to meet the March 30th deadline. At this time, they don't have the exact date, but I have indicated to them when our next council meeting is, because I'm sure you guys would want to see the response prior to the March 30th deadline. So I'm just working with MFOA and AMO and Watson on that right now.
Perhaps this could be another item on the 26th meeting.
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Sepoulis, and I'm sorry I failed to acknowledge you, Director of Finance. All right. Councillor Bailey, any comments on any of these regarding the community benefit charge or the changes to PPS?
No, I just wanted to clarify, there was some funding set aside for a study to be done for the community benefits?
Yes, so as part of our 2020 budget process, at that time, we were under the impression that a community benefits charge strategy would be mandatory and it would need to be implemented by January 1st, 2021. That's changed based on this, what we've received as an update just recently regarding the proposed regulation. It seems like they're going to give you the option to implement the community benefits charge strategy. The regulation is still in very draft form, so that's just in the budget, just based on what we had known at that time.
So we may not need to do that if the strategy we're using will be the best route to go.
Right, because actually, if you look at some of the wording in the proposed regulation, it looks like a community benefits charge strategy would be for acquiring land.
Yeah.
Which is different than, like acquiring land for park purposes, which is different than what the Planning Act currently indicates cash in lieu of parkland can be used for. So I'm just still trying to get those specifics from the experts on this.
Yeah, okay. Because it sounds like that would be a more limited sort of use of what what we could use the fees for, right? Whereas the cash in lieu of parkland would be a more broad use.
Yeah, so
Kind of.
based on what the wording is in the Planning Act right now, as it relates to cash in lieu of parkland, you're correct. It's
Yeah.
more of a broad use, and the proposed regulation is more specific as it relates to affordable housing and acquiring parkland, so.
Right, okay. No, no more.
Okay, thank you,
Comments?
Councillor
Yep.
Bailey. Councillor Goida?
Yeah, I would, in reading through this, it's quite preliminary and it's difficult to understand whether they're saying that the community, that the 10% for the lower tier municipalities, which I don't even believe 10% would be for us because it's based on projected growth, if I'm not mistaken. But it's difficult to understand if Puslinch will receive the revenue it needs to support the growth. But with the comment period closing March 30th, I think it's important that we do submit some comments. And I think that would, if it would be possible to get some comments from Watson and Associates prior to our public meeting on the 27th, that would be really helpful for us to be able to submit comments specifically from the township before that deadline. And one of the things that I'm not sure if they're looking at, but it talks about a lot about these charges being based on property value, but it's difficult to know how that property value is going to be assessed. And I don't know if that's part of what Watson Associates is looking at, but I'm hoping that can be considered with our comments that we submit prior to that deadline.
Super. Yeah, I guess I have just a couple of thoughts on the development chart and the community benefit charge piece. One is related to, Councillor Spoulos also mentioned the 10% that currently would be assigned to the lower tier and 5% to the upper tier, 15% to a single tier. And recognizing that not all two-tiered governments are structured the same, it would be my expectation that this is going to change. Because some lower tiers provide different services than we do. Some maybe provide more, some may provide less. And I was actually surprised to see that this was fixed as a 10% lower tier, 5% upper tier. So I'm going to, as I think it was Watson Associates, or maybe it was the AMO one, suggested that needed more study, and I wouldn't be surprised if that even comes out to be something that each two-tiered municipality is going to have to work out amongst themselves based on who's delivering what service. So I could see a change coming there. I think the one real positive thing I saw was in the changes to the provincial policy statement, the PPS, where they've now backed off on allowing aggregate extraction inside natural heritage areas. That was something that a lot of groups were upset about, and I'm glad they've changed that. That's pretty important. So, and clarifying that lot creation will still be permitted in rural areas. That was nice. That's important to the residents here. So there is some response. Now, in terms of, I've heard a couple of members of council support the idea that we try and get the report from Watson and Associates to our meeting on the 26th. Do you think that's possible? If I don't know, that'd be the Director of Finance to try and make that happen?
Yes, so in my email to Watson and AMO and MFOA, I did indicate when our next council meeting is and when we would need comments by. So I will reiterate again to them that council would like to see the comments for our next meeting, so.
And it's only 1 day difference, so it really doesn't change much. So, super. Thank you. Okay, we have several intergovernmental affairs items. Oh, we have from the Township of Matta regarding 911 misdials. Any comments on that?
Nope.
Nope.
Town of Bracebridge for the banning of single-use wipes.
No.
I gotta say, this really is an issue. We don't have to deal with it, but if you had a wastewater treatment pumping station, I had the pleasure years ago of actually working inside some of those and rebuilding them, and they could be a mess. Township of Matta regarding, supporting the Conservation Authority levies. We've had lots of these, both for and against, or concerns. Any comments on the Conservation Authority levies?
No.
I just wanted to, I think we should be supporting the correspondence that we're getting regarding the conservation authorities. Like they're providing such good service, and I would hate at some point to have any of the financial burden come back onto the municipality. So I don't know whether we need to be writing something or just sending letters of support, but I don't know if we've done that in the past.
We have done that. in
Have
the
we?
past.
Okay,
We supported the programs that the Conservation Authority is undertaking.
okay. And I don't know if this is anything new then, since then,
No,
or?
this is a same old type.
Okay, okay.
Recall that as well?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we haven't endorsed any. I wouldn't say that I remember endorsing any specifically, but we have not endorsed any of the ones that are bashing their conservation.
No, we have not endorsed any bashing, but we
No.
supported the Conservation Authority programs.
But perhaps for our next, maybe, I can't remember any where we've actually backed either side of this, but I'm certainly more supportive of the things we saw. We mentioned it before about Woodstock supporting the Oxford, supporting their local, and the County of Oxford supporting their local, the Maitland Valley Conservation Authority, properly identifying that municipalities already have a seat at the table. The spending at the CAs is already controlled by municipal membership, or largely directed by municipal appointees. But perhaps, to Councillor Bailey's point, perhaps staff could look in. I can't remember if we've endorsed one.
I seem to recall we endorsed it once, but certainly we can ask staff to review it and see if we have. If we have, that's great. If not, then
Yeah.
they can support.
The one we moved up, one we put in the folder was the one from down near Chatham, where I asked it to be put in the folder for the comprehensive municipal review of the zone of the official plan regarding climate change, to make sure that it's on our radar that we look at. That was the only one I can remember acting on. But to your point, okay, you okay with that, Mr.
Sure. Should we just have a time frame on that, like within the last year or so? Or
No, just this these ones that are going around the last 3 months, 2 months even.
Okay.
I think it's within the last 6 months we
Okay.
endorsed something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Since the province suggested changing,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, County of Frontenac, another one regarding conservation authorities. Northumberland regarding conservation authorities. Okay, Bill 156 from the Peterborough Federation of Agriculture. We dealt with that at our last council meeting, I believe. Okay, tourism destination signs from Halliburton. Any questions or concerns regarding the fees for these signs? Everybody knows what they're talking about?
Well, yeah, I don't know what the fees are that they're proposing to change, but I know they're proposing to double the increase. And if we're trying to support, local businesses, the signage is a big part of their business. And I think, I know we have a lot of the signage up along the 401, right, directing people to, not in our municipality, but like Terra Blue is an example, and some other smaller businesses. So I don't know how much it can help if we send a letter of support, but just saying, we recognize that this could impact a local business, and maybe just to support, either reconsider the fee increase or support a phase-in of the fee increase. I think that was proposed as well. Or I think they were also proposing having a third party help manage I don't know if they're just not managing the fee,
Right.
the signs very well, but, to double the signage cost is kind of a big deal to some of these smaller businesses, so.
Well, if it helps, Councillor Bailey, there's currently a waiting list. There's a limited number of sign positions available for each exit, and I believe there's a waiting list for this exit. I know local businesses and organizations that have tried to take advantage of this program. And so in my mind, if there's a waiting list, it doesn't seem like fee is an obstacle, but,
Right.
and I can't remember what the fees are, but would you like to get a sense of what the fees are before we endorse this?
Yeah, maybe, and maybe I can talk to, yeah.
Okay,
Stuff.
super, just so we know
Yep.
what we're endorsing.
Yep.
Is that, other members of council okay with that?
Sure.
Sure.
Thank you. Oh, another one for the Bill 156, the new trespassing legislation.
No.
Township of Maddox, well, they're busy. Again, security from trespass. AMO policy update regarding, number of issues. Any questions on the AMO?
Nope.
Okay. 21, technical engagement meeting between Erin, with Nestle's for Puslinch and Erin at the Puslinch Community Center. I guess that was this morning. Any questions on that?
No. I had just asked to see who was going as a representative, so I understand Stan
Excellent.
and Hode went this morning, so I guess he'll do a report or something.
Yes, I believe, Mr. CAO, this is sort of part of the annual, sort of preparing for the annual report from Nestle's on their water taking.
That's correct.
Okay, provincial policy statement, we talked about that. Any comments or questions on the notice
No.
that the new PPS is now going to be coming into force?
Nope.
Okay, delegations, none.
I'm going to read a resolution.
Oh, we need a resolution to accept all the correspondence or just the,
Just the IG items.
okay, I'll let you take over.
So moved by Councillor Bailey and seconded by Councillor Sapoulis that the intergovernmental affairs correspondence listed on the council agenda for March 4th, 2020 council meeting be received.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, that passed. Thank you very much for the reminder there. Appreciate that. Oh, no Puslinch Fire and Rescue Services report. Finance Department, application for cancellation or reduction of taxes. Would the Director of Finance like to speak to this before we discuss it? Anything we need to know?
It's just the section 357 and 358s as per applications that we received from those owners.
Okay. Normal course of business on these?
Yes.
Okay, and Councillor Goida, you'd like to, have we split this into a separate for Councillor Goida? I believe you declared a conflict of pecuniary interest on,
On the last two applications.
shall we split it into two for Councillor Goida, or just, would you like to be excused from the whole thing? How have we got
It
it?
doesn't matter. I can just be excused from the whole thing. That would be okay.
That's how we have structured, okay, super. So just let it be noted that Councillor Goida has excused herself from, okay, thank you. Super. Any questions or comments before we read the resolution?
No.
Okay.
So moved by Councillor Bailey and seconded by Councillor Sapoulis that council does hereby authorize the applications for cancellation, reduction, or refund of taxes, Chapter 25, Section 357 or 358 of the Municipal Act 2001 as detailed in the chart.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you very much. I guess I can raise my hand because I know I raised my hand. Okay, that passed. Make sure that has to be, at least three has to have a majority.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Welcome back, Councillor Goida.
Thank you.
Okay, the next is water report, very important. This is from the Administration Department. ADM 2020-004 regarding the water system at the Puslinch Community Center. Any questions or comments on this? Councillor Sapoulis?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Councillor Bailey?
No comment.
No. Councillor Goida?
No.
It's very important. We've got the preschool there, and and thanks to the preschool, I remember when this first went in, we were able to get some funding for this project because it served a preschool, which was very nice. I guess before I move on, the next one is ADM.
I'm just going to read the resolution. for
Oh,
the
yeah, we got a resolution for that?
We do.
Okay, thank you. Sorry,
No
we're going
problem.
back to the water report.
Yes. Moved by Councillor Sapoulis and seconded by Councillor Bailey that report ADM 2020-004 regarding the 2019 annual water report, drinking water system number 2600211034, be received, and that the 2019 annual water report be submitted to the ministry and the applicable agencies as outlined in the report ADM 2020-004.
Thank you very much. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. That passed. And just just coming out of that, perhaps, Mr. CAO, I recall shortly after the system went in that members of council were trained on risk management, just so we could not necessarily teach us how to interpret these types of reports, but understand the risks that we take on. And having a water system even of this size, is that something that we can continue on with for the, I don't believe we've had it this term of council yet.
Right, my understanding is that what hasn't taken place yet this term of council. That's something that we're working on. There's a few different training providers where they can provide this, I believe it's a couple-hour workshop that they can do, and they have remote sessions where they can actually come to your municipality right in your office and do them there for you. So we're trying to get those, some options available for you to consider for that.
Super, thank you very much. That'd be great. The next item is, it relates to the mayor's absence schedule. Not that this is the schedule which the mayor will be absent, but who fills in when the mayor is absent, and its report, ADM 2020-005. And I guess I have to call the question before we have discussion, do I? That's the proper process. So we have a motion before us. Would you mind reading the motion, and then I'll open up for discussion. I'm going to get back on proper protocol here.
Moved by Councillor Sapoulis and seconded by Councillor Bailey that report ADM 2020-005 regarding the mayor's absence schedule be received and that council adopts the mayor's absence schedule as outlined in this report.
Okay, super. And I'll open up for any questions or comments. Councillor Sapoulis, any comments?
I'm fine, especially this month.
Thank you very much for that. Councillor Bailey, are you comfortable with, especially this month and the remaining schedule?
I'm really comfortable with this month. Yeah.
Councillor Goyda?
Yes, I'm good with it.
Super. Just before I call the vote, just one, perhaps if I could call on the CAO one more time. Can you just explain what exactly is involved beyond chairing the regular council meetings when the mayor is away? What are we actually signing up for with this mayor's absence schedule, which is a normal course of business, happens in every term of council?
My understanding, the way the process is that you have set up here is this schedule takes care of meetings and that type of thing. In the event of, and Courtney, correct me if I'm wrong here, in the event of an emergency is declared, I believe there's a different process that you have set up. And Councillor Goyda, you're filling that role in the absence of the mayor. That's how it was established here.
Okay. So this would be regular council meetings and/or special council meetings, but not necessarily emergency management.
Correct.
Okay. Well, it's not too onerous. It's extra work, but okay. So then, with that all behind us, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. That's carried. Planning and Building Department. Okay, we have a planning report from the County of Wellington for day, I think it's D14/day, final report. Any questions or comments on that report? Councillor
No, I'm
Spence?
fine.
No, I'm fine.
No?
No, okay. Is there a motion for that? Yes. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So then I have, you would like to read that out again?
So it's moved by Councillor Sapoulis and seconded by Councillor Bailey that the County of Wellington Planning Report, Zoning Bylaw Amendment D14/day, final report be received, and the council approve the zoning bylaw amendment prepared by staff and attached to the final report.
So this is dealing with the item under bylaws as well?
Yes, it is.
We won't have to cover it again then under bylaws if we do it now?
We will pass the final bylaw at the end of the meeting, but this
Okay.
is just to approve us to do that, I
Okay,
believe.
super. So I'll call the question again. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Roads and Parks Department? None. Although I would like to ask a question under Roads and Parks Department, if I could have that latitude as the mayor. We had some significant snowfall and drifting last week. How did staff and all the equipment manage through that tough couple of days?
I would say we fared quite well. Complaints were zero.
Excellent.
Everybody seemed to get home safe and sound. Roads stayed open. So I also would like to thank my staff for their dedication and excellent job well done in maintaining a 24-hour schedule to keep, especially during the blowing and drifting.
Yes, the blowing and drifting, I was asked to go fuel up the tractor Saturday morning, and my 1,000-liter diesel tanks were under a 6-foot drift. I had to dig them out before we could even, so I could fuel up the tractor to blow the laneway. So, thank you. You guys had to deal with a lot. The drifting across our road came back hourly, so, thank you. Recreation Department. Oh, Old Morrison Backstop. Again, I guess this is the Manager of Public Works. Before I put this to council, do you have anything any background you'd like to add to the report before we open it up to questions and comments from the council?
Well, basically, the background is that this structure was identified through the asset management plan to be looked at having all the, we'll say, steel mesh replaced. Upon further inspection, it was determined that due to the age of the structure, the money that we were allocating just to do the mesh, it was recommended both through staff and the contractor that the entire structure should be replaced. Moving forward, in my opinion, it would be in the township's best interest to replace a current structure it already owns and basically guarantee another, 60 years of a safe and up-to-code structure.
Okay, so we'll read out the resolution and I'll open it up for questions or additional questions or comments, if that's okay with council.
Moved by Councillor Goida and seconded by Councillor Sepoulis that staff report Rec 2020-002 regarding the replacement of Old Morriston backstop be received, and that council authorize an additional amount of funding up to $20,000 for the replacement of Old Morriston ball diamond backstop, asset number 3059, and that this project be funded through the Asset Management Discretionary Reserve.
Thank you, and I will acknowledge that the Director of Finance is also at the table in case there are questions from council. So. Councillor Sepoulis.
Yes, in principle, I don't have a concern with this. If it's broken, you got to fix it. The only question I have is, are we getting the best price for it? And my suggestion is that we ask staff to get a second price to make sure, validate it is indeed a good price. I just don't want to be accused of not doing a proper diligence and having a proper assessment of what's out there, who can do for what.
Okay, would you like to, that's something you'd like to speak to, or just take it for information at this point?
We can take that as direction. That's fine.
Okay, anything else?
I would suggest we just approve the report subject to, and the second price comes in lower, let them go ahead with the lower price, rather than
Okay.
having this come back. I don't see the need to come back.
So you're suggesting we modify the resolution slightly to?
Yeah, to include that, just to allow staff the latitude to move on. My understanding, this price is for an early start, so the less paperwork we give them to worry about, the better it is.
You bet. Empower them. Councillor Bailey?
No, I support replacing an asset that needs to be updated, and I'm hearing that it's being funded through the Asset Management Discretionary Reserve. So it's already set there. We can tap into that.
Okay, and Councillor Goida?
Yes, thank you. I would absolutely support replacing something. It's never great to hear something is going to cost quite a bit more than we thought it would, but I think it's important to fix it correctly and not just Band-Aid solution it. I had a similar thought, is this the best price? I don't know if there's a mechanism that where other municipalities that have had to install similar structures may have some leads on possible cost-saving contractors or ideas that might be that could be used to possibly save some money. But at the end of the day, we've had equipment such as our plow truck that wasn't the right plow truck for the job to be done, and I think those days are gone, and we need to fix things properly, even though they cost more than we may want to spend. But I think it's an important asset for us, so, yeah.
Good. Thank you. Yes, and remembering it was a gift from the community, and we want to make sure we honor those gifts by maintaining them.
Right.
So I believe we have consensus to modify for the friendly amendment. Have you captured that? Okay, thank you. Can we maybe reread the amended motion? Thank you.
So I'll reread the item that we've added to it, and that staff receive a second quote for the project prior to replacing the structure. Does that encompass everything, or?
And I want to make sure that staff have the latitude to proceed with whichever price is okay. Rather than coming back here and say, we've got a price and it's still higher or it's lower, whatever the case may be.
You would prefer the phrase best value or best price?
Perhaps at their discretion.
At their discretion.
Okay.
I'm sure they'll ask somebody who's reputable.
Okay.
Okay, so I have, and that staff receive a second quote for the project prior to replacing the structure and proceed with the project at their discretion.
At their discretion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That's passed. All right. Mayor's updates. This earbud isn't connected to the mayor, it's connected to my computer, so I don't. Committee minutes, none this month or this. Municipal announcements. So I'll start with Councillor Sepoulis. Any municipal announcements?
Yes, we all received an email from our acting clerk, or deputy clerk, I should say. Green Tree Legacy Day is April the 25th, 8:30 to 10:30. I understand that Councillor Bailey has volunteered to help. I'm willing to undertake the, lead the charge on this again. If anyone else wants it, they're welcome to it. And I'll be looking for volunteers as well to help out.
Super, yes. It's been a great event. It's been going for several years. I'd be glad to come out early, freeze off, and it's amazing how cold it can be in April. And thank you, Councillor Bailey, for agreeing to come out.
Yeah. Forward to it.
Over the last couple of years, we've tried to encourage them to shorten the hours to maybe close it at 10 o'clock or be 8 till 10 as opposed to 8 till noon. Have you spoken to them?
It used to be 8:30 till 11, and last year we reduced it till 10:30. And usually it was starting on the nose at 8:30, and we've opened it up as soon as we feel we're comfortable, we got
Right.
enough, it's all set up, so could be anywhere about 8:10, 8:15, we open up type of thing. We all show up at 7:30, get everything organized, and everything's done by whatever time, we'll open it up. I don't have a concern about being hard and fast on that. And then 10:30, most of the volunteers had other commitments, and that's fine. By that time, it dwindles down to pitter-patter people.
Yeah, and don't hesitate to ask for help when they're delivering the trees for those. If we can't come Saturday, some people can come the day before, or 2 days before to help
Sure.
you unload the trucks.
Yeah, we'll let you know.
Super. And thank you for the Public Works Department for making the shed available for this community event. It's,
Councillor Goyda may wish to say something.
oh,
No, that's, I'll be there. I'll bring my troops with me again.
Excellent.
and We'll be there.
so we can all stay home.
Kids to work.
Child labor.
Any unfinished business? I don't think I have anything on my agenda.
Oh, can I just mention the bad?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get to you for
That's okay.
municipal announcements. I'm sorry, Councillor Bailey.
I just wanted to plug the Badnaw has their annual general meeting coming up on March 10th. And we'll have cake and coffee
Oh,
to
excellent.
lure people.
And that's an evening,
An evening, yeah, 7 o'clock PM,
and it's open to the public.
open to the public,
Oh,
yep.
that's so nice.
Yep, yep.
Are they still, how's it going, the relationship between with the county so far? It's been a couple of years now?
It's been great.
Excellent.
Yeah, no, it's been going really well. And in fact, we've kind of left a space in the agenda for them to comment, give us updates on what they're doing and their short and long-term plans, and we're trying to make sure we're jiving. And no, the building's looking really nice. New paint, new flagpole going in, and yeah, it's looking really nice. So
Excellent.
come on out and see it.
Anything else?
I was just going to mention the OGRA conference. Is this where I do that?
Oh, you give your conference report?
Well, I just wanted to let people know, yeah, I attended on the Monday. I think it was a 4-day event, but I just went in for the day. And just a couple take-home points. I don't know if you have a chance to look up Dr. James Orbinski, but he was the keynote speaker on the Monday, and he's a really interesting guy. He's won a Nobel Peace Prize, and he's they call him a scholar for global health, and really important guy. But he talked a lot about the relationship between local and global. And he says you can kind of do a large, you can look at a lot of global issues happening, but ultimately it comes down to how can we engage our communities, and then that can impact what's happening globally. So anyway, he was a really interesting speaker. I went to a session about the pollinator partnership, so how we can integrate nature into infrastructure and talking about green infrastructure options. So that's a pretty big buzzword. I don't know how long that's been on the agenda, but I went to quite a few sessions, and it was all about green infrastructure and how we can start to integrate a lot of that in. One of the groups was GIO, so greeninfrastructureontario.org. And if you want to look them up, they're kind of a up-and-coming group, and they actually have Conservation Halton as one of the members. So it's impacting locally. There was actually an autonomous vehicle there. I didn't get to go in it, but they were showcasing that, so it's coming. And the other thing is they are creating a gravel roads committee. So I think that's a new thing coming, and they have 3 take-home focuses that they're doing. So they're also looking for members of that, if anyone's interested. And that's all. It was good. I'm glad I went, and
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's good as a new member of council. It's great. These are great opportunities to educate yourself and see what's going on out there, especially the Good Roads Conference has always been a good one on some of the on top of some of the technical things we have to talk about.
Yeah.
Luckily, we have staff to deal with them,
Yeah.
but we need to understand what the heck they're saying. Thank you for that. Councillor Goyda, any municipal updates?
No.
Well, I have 2, I guess. One, I had the opportunity to attend the Sharing Experiences Workshop. The Sharing Experiences Workshop was started, it was Councillor McKay, still Councillor McKay, I guess he was the county now, as part of the Friends of Mill Creek. They started a workshop here in the township. I believe the first one was held at the Bowden Community Center. It's held every other year. I think it's their 7th one, so it's been going on, I guess, 14 years, where it's groups similar to Friends of. So we had people from across the province, from conservation authorities and other organizations come to the community center. It was nice to see the Puss Lynch was the center of this again. This year they were talking about the youth and engaging youth in understanding the issues around climate change, and not just climate change, but other important issues that they were talking about, tree planting, all the different things that communities may do in the environmental realm. And so that was nice to see. It was over 200 people there. Oh. No, I'm sorry, 120 people there, which is still a good full room. And they used both the Alf Hales room. They also rented the library meeting room. So there were breakout sessions at the library, the Alf Hales room, and the community center. So it's nice to see our facilities being used. And the second piece is that Pluggy is having a trip. He's going away on working out of town. You may recall the great Pluggy debate we had at a budget years ago when the fire department wanted to buy Pluggy the fire plug for educational purposes for students, and it became an opportunity for the community groups to get behind it, and many community groups put money in towards buying Pluggy for the fire department to have as a community education tool. And it's going to be visiting Mount Forest. Pluggy's got a trip to the north for the Wellington Home and Farm Safety Association's annual pancake breakfast. This year it's going to be held in Mount Forest, and Pluggy will be a star attraction for the kids. So it's good on our guys in the fire department for making sure Pluggy gets out and is seen. So number 13, number 14, bylaws. We have one bylaw, I believe.
Should we do those at the end?
What's that?
Should we possibly do the bylaws at the end once we have our closed session?
Oh, okay. We can do that. We can go to closed first and then come back to bylaws?
Yep.
Sure. because I'd separated the confirming out of this one. No problem. So we've got a motion to go into closed session then? All right, so if you wouldn't mind reading to go into closed?
Yes. Moved by Councillor Sepoulis and seconded by Councillor Bailey that council shall go into closed session under Section 239 of the Municipal Act for the purpose of A, confidential report by Lynn Banks, Development and Legislative Coordinator regarding a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, Township Road Allowance. B, confidential report from Courtney Hoyt-Fox, Development and Legislative Coordinator regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunal affecting the municipality or local board, the zoning bylaw 023-18. C, adoption and receipt of minutes of the previous closed meetings, so January 16th, 2020, January 22nd, 2020, and February 19th, 2020. And we've added 2 additional items to the closed meeting, that being D, confidential report from Glenn Schwendinger, CAO clerk, regarding personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and this is recruitment. And E, confidential verbal report from Glenn Schwendinger, CAO clerk, regarding the security of the property of the municipality or local board.
Okay, super. Call the vote then. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, members of the public, for joining us today. We'll be in camera for a little while. Nothing of detail, I expect, other than, but I couldn't guarantee that until we have the discussion. But typically not, other than we're going to be passing the bylaw.